Welcome everyone to this week's edition of Friday's Food for Thought. As you may have noticed, we're in different surroundings today. We are in downtown Baltimore, and I'm privileged and honored to have with me Mary Loeven. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
So
Shannon.
Mary, I heard you talk earlier this week, and I was intrigued about your ability to generate business, which is what we're all here to do, but you're doing it creatively by building some B2B relationships, business to business. And why don't you tell me about the elder law attorneys and how that's worked for you? How did you begin to attract elder law attorneys to work with you?
I think the first hurdle that I had to come over was the fact that we assume attorneys know so much, and they assume that they know so much, which they're expected to understand what they're talking about. And the way I started making inroads with the elder law attorneys and the estate planning attorneys was understanding that they were not comfortable talking about anything that they didn't feel they could speak about intelligently. So,
and that's good.
Yeah, which is a great thing, but so often we're resistant to what we don't understand. And once I made 1, 2, 3 good connections, I started simply asking attorneys to introduce me to their peers. And once they started to understand the program, they were more than happy to make those connections. One thing that I actually started asking attorneys to help me with is most regions have some sort of a forum online where elder law attorneys can pose questions to each other.
Oh, really? So within a region then, huh?
Yeah,
okay.
So the DC metro area has one, the Baltimore area has one, and I've asked attorneys specifically, if you see questions pop up about reverse mortgages, please cite me or please bring me into the discussion, and that has allowed me to make more connections as well.
So what is some of the resistance you got in the beginning with these elder law attorneys? Because if you're out there and you're watching today, you're a reverse mortgage consultant, loan officer, you're going to run into this. So how did you overcome that?
Well, first of all, one thing that I try to do every time I talk to attorneys is before I even start discussing reverse mortgages, I tell them that in my experience, most attorneys know very, very little about the product. And that lets their guard down, because I think that many of them individually have the assumption that they're the only one who doesn't understand it. And I tell them point blank, 95% of attorneys I speak to have at a minimum some misconceptions,
sure,
if not many more. So I open up the conversation just by saying, whether or not you think you understand this, let's just have an open dialogue. And they actually have a lot of the same objections that most of our clients do. When I actually read them some of the items within the security instruments, they see for themselves that many of the concerns that they have are just bad press or misconceptions about the product.
What other markets are you working with for B2B? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you're building your business on referrals, which I think are the best leads.
Yeah, I am. I think when I first started doing this, I was reaching out to a lot of needs-based clients. My background prior to this was more in social work type things, so I think I was more comfortable in that realm. And now that I've been doing this for a number of years, I'm comfortable in different niches. So most of my focus is elder law attorneys and builder business. Although with both of those niches, you're going to make so many connections to other people.
What parting advice would you give to our viewers who tune in each week about building relationships? Well, let's say elder law attorneys, because I feel like that's your area of expertise. What can you tell those watching how to be successful?
I think the first thing is just be comfortable when you walk in. So many times we have resistance if we feel like we don't entirely understand what they do. We get intimidated because I'm personally afraid sometimes of getting asked questions I'm not going to be able to answer. And then I remind myself that we're both in the same boat. They don't understand exactly what I do. I may not understand exactly what they do. And especially with attorneys, don't be afraid to say that you don't know the answer to a question. They appreciate you saying, I'll get back to you. I believe this is the answer, but I want to confirm. And I actually did a presentation at a firm about 2 weeks ago, and they asked me a question, and I jokingly said, "You're going to have to ask an attorney that question," because it was a legal question.
We got a room full of them, right?
Right. So don't be afraid or intimidated because it's a group of people you're not comfortable with. It's a learning curve, and they're going to understand it, and they're going to understand so little of what you're bringing to the table that it's okay if you don't understand everything about it.
So pleased to have you. Thank you,
Thank
Mary.
you.
I
Thanks
appreciate
so
your
much.
time and being here. Folks, this is really, I think, how we're going to have to grow our business, post-financial assessment especially. We're moving away from the needs-based borrowers, and professionals like Mary and others are being creative yet have laser focus on a specific B2B or referral relationship. So I want to encourage each and every one of you watching today that you can do the same. You can get organized, you have the tools, and we can all do this. It's just going to take a little bit of hard work and perseverance, but it does, in fact, pay off. Thank you very much, and this concludes this week's edition of Friday's Food for Thought.